I started seeing certain blogs or like certain social outlets where you ask questions about certain, it can be about anything, and then I kept seeing his name pop up, and so I was like, okay, let me see what is up with this guy. And then, oh my gosh, when I started seeing some of his content, I was very concerned. He seemed to be like a very intelligent brother, okay? And I'm not taking away from his efforts on him trying to do the right thing, be married to the same woman, be there and raise his child, create a family structure, because that's what we need in our black culture. We've gone away from that, and I totally get down with that. But then I see something, and that is, on one hand, he can coach you to be a better version of yourself if that's what you desire and willing to work for. On the other hand, I see where a lot of his wealth, it has like, it's smoke and mirrors. And so it's not like an open public type of thing to look at. Like, okay, when you look at somebody like Berkshire Hathaway, okay, you look at a company like I don't know, JP Morgan, or you see what I'm saying, like one of these, or like Bank of America, or Fidelity, you know, like when you look at these big names, they're usually public records of how they manage their finances. It's open to the public, sometimes every quarter or every year, however it is, because you want transparency to be there when you start making over, especially a 7-figure salary. Okay, now I just don't see that with Anton. I see a lot of smoke and mirrors. I think that maybe he did come into some kind of wealth. I did see where there may have been some type of suit that his family won in regards to some type of maybe work compensation, worker injury. I don't know. I'm just speculating that. But then he came into some money, and then, well, you'll see what I found on my research. And but I think he probably just makes a good fortune off of being on YouTube. These are some really disturbing videos that I'm about to watch out. So trigger warning, you will see what I'm talking about.
I hate you hoes. I hate these masculine hoes that come up on here and think that they can say to me. What the fuck are you talking about? I hate you hoes. I hate. You were teaching a man to be feminine when you were sitting him down in order to try to potty train him. But you started emasculating him from the time that he was born. You never even knew. And you know why you never knew? Because it wasn't a in the household in order to try to set you straight. You know, my wife will come to me and say, yo, how do you think I should go about handling this? If she's not sure that she's gonna get the best results, she first comes and checks in with me. It ain't because that I said, hey, you better come and check in with me first. It's because I've set the standard based off of how it is that I operate in my household, that they feel comfortable enough to come into me because they know that I'm above them, I'm over them. Ain't nothing wrong with somebody being over you. You haughty. You should have had a man over you, and you wouldn't be sitting there talking back and forth with your neck twisted up, thinking that you're saying something when in reality he's trying to protect you against yourself. So now you don't even know how to identify a good man when you see one. Learning how to shut the fuck up when a real dude enter the room.
I have a question. Is he blaming black single mothers for trying to be a proxy father when the real fathers flee? Because let's get this thing straight. Let's say, for instance, she was not prepared to become someone's wife. They ended up becoming parents out of wedlock, okay? Both of them were not ready to be parents at any particular time. But here we are. We've got a child together. And now we both have to parent this child. Now, he can train his son how to use the John correctly as a man in his house. in his apartment. It doesn't have to be all in one home. It doesn't have to be in her house. Why should the responsibility be all on the woman, and none of this responsibility to be bared on the man? And I notice that black men tend to do that. Black men do not like to be corrected. And once they feel like you're trying to correct them, they think you're trying to talk down to them, and they don't like for their stuff to be exposed. They don't. And I don't know why he would do something like that when he chose to stay. You paying your time, your sentence, you serving your sentence. Why would you allow somebody else to flee while you stay behind and serve time? And I'm not saying that raising a child is like comparison to a prison sentence. I'm just using that as an example of the seriousness of how black men scapegoat for other black men's bad behavior, and that contributes towards these broken homes. Now, here we go again. The advice that he's trying to give to women in regards to how to handle a woman who's been in a long-term, either a marriage or relationship with a man, and they're now having to face an issue with an affair.
We talk about this cheating thing for a lot of people. The thing that you feeling right now, it'll pass. It'll pass. Think about this, ladies, from this perspective, and then think about this, fellas, from this perspective. Ladies, you've been with this man through thick and thin, right? Father of your kid, structuring your household, you've loved on him, all of that. He had a moment of weakness or a couple moments of weaknesses, right? From a selfish perspective, are you going to let somebody benefit from all of the things that your husband is now becoming as a result of you being emotional in that one particular moment? Are you going to let your man you going to throw that whole situation, your whole marriage, everything that y'all built and worked for just because you're emotional at that particular moment over some sex? It seemed bigger than what it really is. It's really not. It seems much stronger and much more of an issue than it really is, but it really ain't.
So he's enticing women to really consider thinking about limiting her self-worth to stay married, to keep a man that is not wanting to be there 100%. HIV once was a disease that had been very low in rates, and now it's escalating in record-setting numbers within the heterosexual black women, which is why celebrity Tamar Braxton divulged her support and use of PrEP, an HIV prevention medication. Now, why would Anton Daniels, he's supposed to be a trainer, right? He's supposed to be charging people money to help develop them to become the best person that they can be, and you're advising women to stay with men who would openly have sexual relations with other people, jeopardizing your health and his? That's not a coach.
I don't care about your reparations.
That's someone that's looking just for money.
Ever get it. As a matter of fact, I'm advocating against it because it's going to fuck up my dollar and make inflation go out of control. And so I don't want them to pay you. I don't want you to have nothing. Don't give these motherfuckers nothing. As a matter of fact, not only do I not want you to get nothing from reparations, I think that they should tax you for breathing.
Were personally, after watching them, offended by Obama's comments?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, Obama's not as talented of a liar as he used to be, but quite frankly, my ancestors fought way too hard for me to have the ability to learn how to read, just for Obama to expect me to be so uneducated to think that I would vote for Kamala Harris simply because she claims to be a black woman. And I mean, if people want to stop having Kamala Harris be called a DEI hire, maybe he should stop trying to remind us of her demographic every 5 minutes. Black men not supporting Kamala has nothing nothing to do with her being a woman. It has everything to do with her lack of accomplishments over the last 1,359 days.
It just seems very 2002 or 3. I mean, 2008, I should say. Right? It doesn't quite have the same appeal, as megastar-ish as he is.
You know, it's a Hail Mary pass, considering that we did vote him in based off of identity politics. And I'm not saying that all is bad, because he did do some things that I didn't necessarily disagree with that Trump absolutely did better than him. But at the same time, I felt that it was incredibly disrespectful, because he's making the assumption that we're not educated enough to lead our families, to look at the policies, to understand exactly what's going on with immigration, and we're supposed to overlook everything that they did over the last 3.5 years that was not in our favor. And when I say our, I'm talking about the American people, let alone men, let alone black men, and we're supposed to vote for her because of some misogynistic reason that's made up. And instead, we've learned how to educate ourselves, and now they've sent their Messiah back to rein us in and bring us back into the Democratic plantation. And most men that I've spoken with have said that it's absolutely disrespectful, and we're done with Obama.
Well, Xavier, again, when he says, "You're lucky Michelle's not here," he does. What is that supposed to mean? I mean, I guess it's supposed to be funny because she'll scold them in a more convincing or scarier fashion. It's kind of treating young black men as children, almost like you're children, and mommy's coming back and mommy's going to chastise you and you're going to get punished, but you're supposed to vote against your own economic interests to make Michelle and Barack happy and their 4 mansions.
Here is where we're going to deep dive into, because once I heard him say that about reparations, that's all I needed to know. It's solved. Now I was like, okay, now I see what people are talking about. Now I see. It's like, it's unfortunate that a lot of black men, when God opens up a door of financial opportunity for them, not all of them, just like some black women, but especially our brothers. Sometimes our brothers can't handle wealth. It can destroy them. They become monsters. Some of them become unbearable. And then it's like, whoop, God come and take it. And then you see them on somebody's talk show talking about how they got to redo life and figure it out again because you got the big head. And that's exactly what this sounds like. How and what in God's name, why would you even say something like that? Because he is, I believe, foundational black American. Knowing that, first of all, Anton Daniels, you are in Detroit. That means that you are probably a descendant of some of our people that had to migrate and flee out of the South during the Jim Crow days. Because it was 2 reasons they fled out of the South. Because my people did the same thing on my daddy's side. Okay, they fled South Carolina for their life. For their life. And because there was no other economic opportunity for them to be able to support their family unless they were going to go scrub floors or they were going to work in somebody's fields as sharecroppers. Okay?
It's like, well, but he's not going to be good on equity, right, Anton? Equity. He's going to...
Wait, Laura. You want me to speak again? Laura, would you like for me to speak on what equity is? Would you like for me to address this equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion? Laura, sure. I have no problem. I am well versed in diversity, equity, and inclusion in Victim Olympics. Go ahead. Ask me the rest of the question, Laura.
Disembowel equity. When I say to folks is, how's all the equity of the last 3.5 years worked out for your communities? Illegal immigrants using your schools?
It's absolutely horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And it's so funny because, you know, I've been seeing this whole movement, right, where they first leverage sororities and fraternities as far as the Divine Nine to try to include them in order to try to get her to be obviously presidential. I don't think that it's working because everybody that's in my community and the people that I speak with, especially black men, are even disappointed in white men in that why would you then follow white women who are extreme feminists and then let them follow black women in order to try to be a part of this
Okay, this is the thing as well. You see, he's comfortable now in the Republican Party. I'm not a Democrat, okay? I haven't been a Democrat in years. I'm not a Republican either. I vote smart. That's what I vote. Okay? But I know when to recognize certain talking points of individuals, and it just tells me all I need to know about Anton Daniels. He is comfortable now getting access to spaces where he would have never gotten access to if he were actually about the progression of his people. See, a lot of black people who, I'm not saying all black Republicans are like this, but unfortunately the majority of black Republicans, they take a shortcut into becoming a Republican so that they can get kickbacks. Okay, they can get access, they can get into certain circles and spaces, and it doesn't move the people. It only takes us back. See, for instance, okay, there are some things that I agree with the Republican Party, because a lot of us black Americans are conservative. We are conservative at the core. We're progressive, but we're also conservative. And there's some things that I agree with the Democratic Party. But I do agree with more things of the Republican Party. But the thing that overshadows that what they stand for is they have a racism issue, bigotry, discrimination. Okay? And until they get that monster calmed down and tamed and eliminated from their party, I would never be able to trust their party. See, you have to be a type of black person that's going to go into the Republican Party and you're going to flip it over. Okay? You're going to be the change. Like, if I ever ran for office and if I ever run for Republican office, but see, we're not going to go with the racist ideology. No, that's going to be flipped over. Because if you are someone who is so great at what you do, nothing that you touch can stay the same. But people like Anton Daniels, Candace Owens, and a couple of other grifters that are over there, they are just comfortable with speaking certain talking points. They've learned the dialogue. See, Fox makes sure that a lot of their senior, white, overly conservative viewers, they gotta hear it, because a lot of them suffer from hearing loss. But when they do hear something, it has to be sensationalized in racism. It has to have some type of love to hear nostalgic talking points in Fox. And if you can do that, they'll write their checks out. They'll write their checks out. They don't want to do no internet, but they'll write those checks out. They'll call you. They'll give you their card number. And they will support your cause. Okay? If you're a good Negro, they'll help out the good Negroes. And that's exactly what Anton think he is. Things that I've saw written about him. The dude talks about how he totally crashed out in 2008 to 2010 and lost everything and had to move back in his mom's house with his wife and young daughter. So I guess you could say he's actually pretty balanced, because he was totally destitute financially back in 2008, 9, and 10. And then apparently he worked pretty hard and built himself back up to where he is now. So this is some of the stuff people write about him. He explains all his stuff on a regular basis during his Morning Millionaire show on YouTube. That's what he talks about, and that's what people want to know about. He explains that, hey, if he did it, most other folks can do it too. Takes time, learning, working smart. Takes time working smart, not buying stupid stuff, saving your money, and then learning how to invest your money or create additional streams of income through small businesses and growing those businesses and using your head. Hey, he actually does offer value. So that person thinks he enjoys him. And then Another person wrote, and this is also too. And then, I'm a 60-year-old Native American, Cherokee, and on the rolls since folks ask if you know. All right, so he feels like he's a man of learned experience. He's an older, experienced man. He thinks that Anton Daniels is legit. I'm not taking away from his work ethic or anything like that. I saw he went to school and he applied himself in doing that, and that's great. Again, I commend him for wanting to keep traditional values. I was just disappointed on those conversations I heard with him, going back and forth with black women, talking so, I hate you hoes, and woo. Oh my gosh, he's got to ask God to help him with that. This other person said, who's outside _ supermarket too, he's in real estate. Years ago, you could buy an entire Detroit block for $300. He's probably exaggerating. But he worked in the steel mill, lost his job in 2008, moved in with his parents, and went back to college for computer science while his wife worked as a nurse. With his wife being a nurse, she would have been making at least $75K a year while living with his parents. Then, after he graduated, within a few years, he would have easily made $100K. So together, that's why I was saying, together, him and her were pulling in about $200,000 back in probably 2015. With that kind of money in a cheap place before COVID, you could buy up a lot of properties. You could buy a crappy multifamily right now for $4K, a nice one for $125,000 today after 4 years of inflation. So imagine how much it was prior to 2020. So essentially 10 years being in an extremely low cost of living area, making $200K minimum a year, you could save up the money to buy a few properties, sell them, and take the cash to buy better. And that's so true. Properties, and he said he's still working right now, so he has the income from the property, stocks, and income coming in, and then the content creator, etc. I don't think he has as much money as he claims, but I think he's a millionaire. And then one other person said, a legitimate good 7236 said he's a fraud and a bigot. I do believe he has bigot ways. I do believe that. I don't think he's a fraud. I do think he works. I do believe that he is trying to stay legit in regards to not, I hope he is not engaging into financial crimes, white collar crimes, things like that. I hear that he keeps saying it in some of the things that I have seen with him. But he does have an issue with intra-racism. He does. He has a hate for the things that are going on within the culture of his people. Now, he urban videos that I'm about to watch out, so trigger warning, you will see what I'm talking about.
Fatigue. It's all over my FYP page. Thank you. I am so happy that this is being brought up. And oh, by the way, for us white people that have been around the block a long time, this isn't new to us. We've been dealing with this for over 40 years. Here's my story. This is about 2015. I'm at Put-in Bay. Put-in Bay's on South Bass Island in Lake Erie. There's a bunch of bars out there. It's a great place for adults to go play. Think of Pat Daly, Mad Dog Adams. If you don't know those guys, think of Jimmy Buffett. I'm sitting on a bench on Delaware waiting for my wife, who's in a shop shopping. And at the time, the traffic is two ways. And I think I witnessed why it is no longer two ways. It's a Saturday afternoon. The island is packed. The traffic is bumper to bumper. These two guys going in opposite directions decide to stop and have a chat. Not for a couple seconds, not for a couple of minutes, but I think it was around 10 minutes before people started to threaten them. But around the 5-minute mark, I'm just sitting there with my arms folded, just shaking my head. And I hear this voice. This is what's holding us back. This is why we're hated.
Probably from a black.
And I turned around to see who had said it, and it was a black couple about my age. Yep. And then he looked directly at me and said, 30 years ago, I'd go down there, grab those idiots by their dreadlocks, and teach them a lesson their fathers.
And guess what? Today, The YNs, they don't play no games. They will probably beat the crap out of you and then justify it and say that you was in their business and that you had no reason to be over there trying to have a conversation with them in the first place, even though they were stopping traffic for well over 10 minutes. But this right here just proves that we not all the same, and just because there's a demographic of us that embarrass us does not mean that black people have black fatigue the same way that white people have black fatigue.
So this dude, Anton Daniels, takes a snippet of the video. Takes a snippet of the video where I said black people are being attacked in their neighborhoods while they're minding their business in DC. And made a video about it on YouTube. And all his videos, from what I can see, is of him taking snippets of other women videos, black women. Riddle me that. It's always the black dudes that can't stand black women, who are anti-black, who have all the other anti-black people, and then the bots in the comments saying racist stuff, assuming that I'm some deplorable person with a bunch of kids I don't take care of. One of the comments said, if my fellow blacks, obviously that's not a black person. No black person says the blacks, my fellow blacks. No black person ever says that unless they're being funny about something. Somebody else said, I'm a black person, I have black fatigue. You should have black fatigue with yourself. If you, I don't even know what to say, because all of the comments are most of the comments are just filled with nonsense, and he's full of nonsense. Like, these are the dudes that I block. Like, black men who have to do things to get attention to themselves by trying to make black women look bad. What did I say was wrong? Like, and then people are like, if they're arresting the people that are committing the crimes. I just want people to do a simple Google search. If y'all were really concerned about everybody that was committing crimes, we wouldn't have the president that we have right now.
So this guy just said he wanted to murder our baby as we were walking past, and now they're gonna put him under arrest. He said, I'm going to murder your wife and baby.
Yeah, he literally said that. This guy right there, when we're walking past.
So we're going to press charges.
He said he wanted to kill our white baby. How sick can people be? This is disgusting. I'm completely outraged. You can't even walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. without people acting like this. Thank God we reported it to the police and are dealing with the guy. I cannot believe this right now. Don't bring your kids down here. It's not safe.
Don't bring your kids to D.C.
Not safe at all.
Well, one of the benefits of this whole thing is that now that Trump is in D.C. and he's taken over and he's made the city more safe, and I'm not going to say completely safe because you can't completely control people, but you can definitely be in a position to where if something like this happens, you can address it accordingly, and you don't have to be subjected to the idea that you just got to walk away or these maniacs can just continue to be on the streets, because the streets are for pedestrians. It's for everybody. It's not just for the maniacs. It's not for people that set up tent cities. I can't wait to get back to DC now, and I want to walk the streets, and I want to see what the difference is between the times that I was there previously, because I've done multiple different events in DC, obviously, and then I've also traveled to DC for the ball and all, the whole inauguration and then, White House stuff and all of that. But, I'm very excited to travel back to DC just to be in the streets and see what the difference is, because, now that we have the National Guard and they are assisting police officers, not only with immigrations and customs and illegal migrants, but also making sure that vagrants and vagabonds, and when I say vagrants and vagabonds, I'm speaking specifically upon people that prey upon other people, when they're not supposed to be doing stuff like this.
Okay, so now we're about to watch the flip side of this video that he just took so nonchalantly. He didn't listen to the dog whistles. He didn't address those dog whistles that this couple mentioned in that video. There was a lot of telling moments that occurred, and including that black man shouting out, y'all are being racist. But again, because individuals like him are comfortable in their position in being a black Republican, they put on rose-colored glasses. And it's no longer about the progression of our people. It is now about how it's going to benefit me and how I'm going to look in this space. That's all that it's about. And we're going to see this upcoming videos of these really intelligent black women that I commend them for doing the work, along with other people, I'm pretty sure, to try to bring a resolution for this man that you're going to see was framed. Okay, he did not commit a crime that these people had accused him of, and that is so un-American, that is so unpatriotic, which is what they're trying to appear to be.
Last night, while heading home from Joe's Seafood on 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, 1 block from the White House, a black man approached my wife and my baby and I and said, "I'm going to kill your white girl. I'm going to kill your effing white baby." And he repeated it many times, and then he continued to call my wife a white B-word multiple times. And I had half a mind to stomp his head in, but instead I went to the Secret Service, which was a block away from us, and I told them what he had said. The man was subsequently arrested, and he has now been brought on charges by the U.S. Attorney General's office, felony charges for felony threats and hate and bias crime.
And also, we found out later that he had a knife in his pocket, so that was extremely terrifying.
So this is unbelievable. This shouldn't be happening in the capital of the United States of America. Families like ours should feel safe. We have 5 other children at home that were with grandma, luckily, that night. We're not even from here, we're from Iowa. And to have to suffer that after losing our friend Charlie Kirk, who I worked for, and then this, it's unbelievable. And America, you need to do better. Racism, reverse racism, it's all wrong, it's all evil. Turn to Jesus, believe the gospel, repent of your sins, be renewed in your mind, in your thinking. Love one another, love your neighbor as yourself, as Jesus commands. We need to seek God. This is not acceptable.
Get a load of that smile when the video ends. Let's move on.
Online. So my understanding is that you would like us to charge this hate crime from the beginning, and so because you were starting to talk about facts of the case, as I explained earlier, I cannot talk about facts of the case without an officer witness on the line. So let me ask you real quickly. So the facts that I understood were that he threatened to kill you, Sarah, and your quote-unquote white baby. Is that correct?
Yes. He said he's going to kill. He said he was speaking to me. He said, "I'm going to kill your girl and your effing white baby."
Okay.
And then he repeatedly called my wife a white B-word. And it was for 100% a hate crime. If I would have said that to a black man, his wife and baby...
Sir, I'm going to stop you right here. I appreciate where you are going with this. I in no way, shape, or form disagree with you that this sounds like a hate crime. But I want to explain to you how our process works.
Okay.
And then they cut the video off because things are not going in the direction that they hoped for. They try to spew their rhetoric, and this woman was not having it. So shout out to her for doing her job. Let's move on. Okay, this is the most recent one, and I want you all to pay very close attention to everything they say down to the caption in this video, because they are so outrageously frustrated that they don't even realize they're telling on themselves.
Bias. Okay.
Yeah.
And then...
So these will be felony threats with a hate bias enhancement. And so what that does is that changes the possibility, the way we... the possibility of sentencing, the kind of offer no. I don't have any knowledge of a violent history. Not at this time, but let me actually, 1 second. I would have to do some digging into his history in order to be able to.
You might have to do a little research because you got about an hour and a half, and if this guy is a violent offender, hold on, Barb. You don't have to give us any information, but if this guy is a violent offender and there is some legal precedent to hold him, then he needs to be held because he could be a danger to the public, and he could go and stab some baby. He could kill some baby. You know, that's not safe to have people like that are that unhinged on the streets in our capital city of the United States of America.
A block from the
block from the White House. We were on 1500 Pennsylvania. That's insane.
I do not. I would love to have a conversation with you about it, but I honestly cannot. And like I said, if I have a legal basis to ask for him to be held, I will ask for him to be held. At this time, I don't know of a legal basis for me to ask for him to be held.
Well,
which means the court doesn't have a legal basis to hold him.
Well, Barb, do some digging. That's all I'm going to say. Because if he gets out and he does something, I swear this is going to be very bad for everybody. Very bad for everybody. It's not going to be good for the district. It's not going to be good for the U.S. Attorney's Office. It's not going to be good. It's going to be national public television. Everybody's going to know about it. I literally know President Trump personally. It's not a good situation. I shouldn't have to feel like my wife is going to be killed and my baby is going to be killed, and then some violent offender gets released back on the streets of Washington, D.C.
And we don't even know his criminal background.
We don't know. We don't know who we're dealing with here, so we don't feel safe at this point.
What if it's the same thing like the guy in North Carolina where they let him out 14 times and then he goes and kills somebody? That guy should not have been on the streets, and I don't think this person should be on the streets either.
Listen, you seem like a really nice lady, Barb, and I know there's more that you guys can do. So I'm hoping that you guys will figure out something.
I mean, even a mental asylum, like, is there a mental hospital he can go to or something?
Or a homeless shelter or something. Something to keep him away from people.
I hear you.
Any questions?
For the past 2 days, I've been sharing the story and updates about a MAGA couple who got an innocent black man arrested. Joel Tenney and Sarah Elizabeth Tenney claimed that upon leaving their dinner at Joe's Seafood in DC, that a black man allegedly said that he was going to unalive Sarah Elizabeth and their baby. And for the past 2 days, people have asked me if I had any updates, if we have any way to help the brother that has been falsely accused. And well, I do have some updates. And for the audience, feel free to grab a seat while you get this tea. But this message is specifically to Joel Tenney, who thought that that black man didn't have community or have support. Hey Joel, in one of your videos, you actually claimed that that man's record should have been looked into a little bit deeper because you found him to be violent. Actually informed you, Joel Tenney, that that man did not have a violent criminal history or record. You said that she should dig a little deeper. And I thought, light bulb moment, Joel Tenney. And with $1 and a dream and public records, I dug a little deeper. And oddly enough, I found a criminal record of someone who has a similar name to you. Now, could possibly be a mix-up, and there's multiple Joel Tenneys in the world born on August 7th, 1996, just like your Facebook says. Because I would hate that when this black man has to sue you, that this information would make itself apparent in court. Because not only was this Joel Tenney from Iowa charged with 1 count of criminal sexual misconduct in the 3rd degree, but convicted of a 2nd count of criminal sexual misconduct in the 5th degree. And that violent guy who shares your name got 2 years of probation. Gee willikers, Joel. But listen, I have an idea. You can take down the post making the false claim against the black man who did absolutely nothing to you and your wife, and you can drop the charges immediately. Because you know, Joel, as a Christian, God forgives. So do the Christian thing, Joel, so that we don't have to use the power of public records that strengthens us.
Now, Anton Daniels, being such a political guru, right? A coach, a man's man, someone who was so above everyone in his own black culture, was willing to repost something so detrimental to another brother. And not even him being black, to another American citizen. He didn't even think twice before he reposted. And this is why I feel like this is just one of many reasons on why I would deem him as being someone who is a grifter, because they base their income off of the algorithm and the sensationalism of whenever the internet picks up him being volatile about black women, his anti-black rhetoric, even how he lives vicariously through broken black men that are on his platform that are also gaining their ability to eat, on how well they perform hating on black women. And these broken black men are like these red pill podcasts, these men that are like fresh and fit. There's so many of them. It's really sad, but a lot of them wouldn't even be able to eat. A lot of them would be homeless themselves, sleeping on their mom's couches, with no education, and they have criminal backgrounds. I'm not saying Anton Daniels had a criminal background. No. I'm saying a lot of these other grifters out here that are red pill podcasters that have a lot of anti-hate, a lot of them cannot even get decent jobs. And then the subject of the treatment of his wife, from what I've observed, to me, I feel like it's a wonderful thing that they've been married for a long time. I see she is his backbone. It's great. However, just me as a woman, I would not be comfortable having my husband talk about other women that look like me and my daughter so comfortably. I just couldn't live like that. And and it also is telling in how he moves with other women that are on his podcast, and how he deals with these women is really disrespectful. And there's a reason why I say what I'm saying, because the last part of this, what I'm going to show you, is he had a video with a podcast. On his podcast, he invited a young woman, beautiful young black woman, okay? I think she came all the way from Dubai. He flew her all the way across the country from, I think now, Middle East, from Dubai all the way to, from Dubai all the way to Detroit. And he put her up in this really nice hotel, okay? Because she talked about how nice it was, how impressive it was. And then their conversation was just not a healthy conversation for someone who is a married man. All right. And for someone who's constantly saying that they've been married for this long and almost 20 years and all that, it seems more to me that he's following the concept of the old R&B blues song, Johnny Taylor, "It's cheaper to keep her." That's what I really think. I think it's cheaper and more financially solvent to stay married than to go through a messy divorce to free himself, because they do have so much history together. There would be such a massive legal bill splitting up assets. His wife might be a secure woman, but let me tell you something. There's something called respect. And this interview that he had with this beautiful young woman, and the tone and the mannerisms. I was married before years ago. Let me tell you something. It would not be happy in that house that night when he came home. And let me tell you why. Not only was the behavior and the tone of the conversation not an interview, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm 10 minutes in looking to this interview that I pulled up to do more research to see more about him, and this woman had absolutely nothing to say.
Like, you're not loud, you don't say a lot, you be chilling. If I call you and check on you, you just be like, "Oh no, I'm good," or whatever. You don't ask for nothing, you don't say nothing, you just be chilling, you just be having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm content with myself. I'm confident in the things that I do. And, you know, if something is for me, it's going to be for me. If it's not, then okay, but I don't want the drama. I don't want any of that. So I play my position. I do what I'm well at. And I just work it that way.
And
So
you say yes.
yes.
You always say yes.
Yes. I mean, you get more out of yes than no.
And I'm like, yo, you coming to Detroit? You're like, yeah. I'm like, I bet.
Yeah, it's just time and circumstance. Everything else can be handled. So it's
This is just my opinion, and that is, if you can get a woman to fly across the country, if you can get her to do that much, see, there's nothing else that you can't get her to do when you get her here, whether you're married or not. And I want y'all to pay attention that he did not have his ring on in this interview. You can go and find it on his channel, but he did not have his ring on in this interview. And I was so confused by that, because that is a symbol of your unity and your commitment to the other person that you made this vow with before God. You know, I didn't appreciate the conversation. It got even more deeper than that, but I'm not going to share any more of it, because you can go on to his page and see. And even both of them have gotten backlash, because that night, she's been on his podcast, I guess, a few times, and like that night they went out, they caught a game together. This picture right here is very suspect. I don't like it. For him to be a married man, it's not a good look. It's not, especially if you have a daughter. You don't want your daughter to grow up thinking, or if she's already.
Why do you think they get such an uproar? Like when they see you, you know, out at the games, out with Mika, in an uproar.
You be having fun though, Mika.
That's the thing though. Like,
we sit courtside, we eat good, we have a good time, life is good.
Right, but why do you think they get so bothered?
It's not a good look. It doesn't show that you are so in love with your wife. And I see they've been together for a long time. I hope she doesn't take this disrespect behind closed doors, because there is just no way. I've been married before years ago, and there is no way I would have been comfortable with my husband posting up a picture like that. Let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for spending your time and listening to this video. I hope you have a great, wonderful, prosperous, blessed day.